welcome everyone. Today we are going to go through the fall CB2 collection. I'm going to give you my top 10 picks and also the top 10 worst picks from this collection. So we'll start with the worst. Okay, so this is one of the new sofas in the CB2 fall collection. It's called the Rodez Sofa, and here it is in a Lisbon fabric. So, there's nothing really bad about this sofa. However, I think the ruching at the back is a little bit too subtle. It almost looks like it wasn't upholstered well or cleanly. And I know it's supposed to be intentional, but it's just missing the mark. Maybe if it were exaggerated a little bit more, it would look intentional, but as is, I think it could look a little bit messy in your space. The next piece that I think is just a miss is really mostly due to a fabric. This one is a new sleeper or daybed. It is a Lazar Daybed in brown leather and beige performance fabric, and here you can see they offer a fabric combination where it is leather around the back and we have a linen seat, and combining these two fabrics in this way in the same piece where they're about equal proportions, they just have such different feels to them. Leather is very durable and strong and almost rough, and then you have linen, which is light and airy and reminds you of summer. So they're really saying two different things, and I would never combine these fabrics in this piece. The next piece that I would absolutely avoid at all costs is this new Gleam crystal pendant light. So here we're seeing a little bit of an 80s resurgence with this polished brass and these glass panes on this chandelier. And unfortunately, I think this would be extremely hard to style in a way that looks classic and contemporary. These pieces are pieces that we grew up with. And so just an example of a similar piece, we have looking at an 80s chandelier, and it just looks overdone and a little tacky, and that's really the same vibe that you're getting from this crystal chandelier. So a lot better options. Definitely avoid this piece. We have the table lamp version of that chandelier. This is the Gleam crystal table lamp, and again we're seeing the polished brass, the glass panes. Extremely hard to style in a contemporary way. I think there are other gorgeous lamps out there where you can get the polished brass and glass. And I think part of it is the little detail of how they're attached with these little pins along the ring at the top and the bottom. This could be done a lot more cleanly and in a modern interpretation. Now we have an art piece that do not buy. Please do not buy. It is an all-white piece called Dzen framed wall art. It's a nice large size, and I actually do like all white art, and I think there's a really great place for textural white art in a modern space in a way that's quiet but also beautiful. However, this one, it's so subtle, and it looks like you were muddying your drywall and just leaving those trowel marks on the page. I'm sorry, but this is just not interesting, and it's just ugly. Next, we have the raw black silk hat and wig stand. So actually, there's nothing inherently wrong with this. However, unless you have a really big closet with lots of room for display for your hats and wigs, this is just really unnecessary. It takes up a lot of space, and it's really not going to be practical for most people. However, if you have the space and you have the need for it, sure, go for it. but I would say this is just a really unnecessary piece of decor. Now let's go back to another piece, a sofa sectional, and this is the Marguerite 5-piece L-shaped sectional sofa. And again, here it's got a nice rectangular base and, you know, a fairly simple look. However, there's one part that would make me not want to purchase this sectional. So you can see here how the legs double up, where we have this extra section added in to create the 3-piece on the side. I think without that, I think it would be fine. You could do a 2-piece corner and 2-piece, but with that added piece, it looks very modular, and this is something that you know, you don't want in your really refined home. You want all these details to be perfect, and this is just not it. Now we have a vase, and it looks like this is actually a bestseller, which shocks me a little bit. It is the Gila Black Ceramic Spotted Vase, and we have a little bit of a wabi-sabi circle, black on black textured element. And my issue with this piece is that if you put flowers in it, the scale of these dots is really going to contrast with your floral display and really draw away from the beauty of what you're putting in the vase. On its own, it's an object. You could put it on a shelf. It's great, but really, I think you're just going to be sending these to Goodwill in the next couple of years. So watch Goodwill and pick this up later. Now we have a rug. This is a Nuetro black and warm white hand knotted New Zealand wool area rug. So if you're going to drop a lot of money on a nice hand knotted wool rug, I would not pick this rug. It has this distressed, you know, quality at some of the edges where it looks like the weaving machine just stopped and, you know, didn't continue the pattern. And unfortunately, I think it could have been done a lot better. So instead of completely erasing the pattern, if it were a little bit more of a subtle fade to just show something that looks like it's been handed down over a few generations, sure, I think that might have been a nice approach on this rug. However, the graphic pattern is so bold, and then you break it, it really hurts the overall effect, and I think it looks kind of cheap. Finally, we have the last piece that I think is one of the worst pieces from the new collection, and this is the Forte Bello black leather bench. And I do think this bench could work in some spaces, and I would like to see it in person. It has black channeled leather and a little reveal around the top and the bottom. And I don't know what it is about it, but I feel like this is something we would see at Costco, and it would be like a Costco special. So nothing wrong with Costco, but the furniture and pieces that you see there have this almost suburban feel, and I think channel leather is actually kind of hard to get right, as well as tufted leather, because your leather has to look really high end and not too shiny, not too dull. It has to be just right. So I would probably pass on this piece. Now let's go on to some of my favorite pieces. I think there are a lot of really great pieces from CB2 this season, pieces with unique elements and pieces that I think are modern classics. Now, one piece that it looks like has actually been discontinued, unfortunately, or maybe they have stock issues, is this Kamari oak, wood, and ivory upholstered bed. So these curves are really beautiful and simple. The only thing that I would say could have been done differently is the wood veneer on the curved piece has a clear difference between the straight portion at the top and the straight vertical portion on the sides. And I think if it would have been wrapped to make it look like one continuous piece, it really would have added to the effect. But I think the walnut or oak is a very classic wood and would really go nicely with a lot of homes. Now we have the Egan 2-drawer dark wood nightstand. I'm feeling a lot of Art Nouveau, Art Deco vibes on this, and it's very luxe feeling with the continuous brass pulls and the brass legs. A little bit specific to a design style, but I do think it is very beautiful and very refined. It also has a slight curve on the front, which is something you don't really see in a nightstand, so I think really great choice. And with all my favorites, most of my favorites actually have outside designers that CB2 brought in, and I think their influence really shows in the time that they took to put together these pieces. So this one is by Brett Beldock. So Brett is a former fashion designer. Now she's an interior and product designer, and she actually has a lot of pieces that are in the new CB2 collection. So some really beautiful pieces with, you can see some Art Deco inspirations and just a nice mix of hard and soft lines, which is really lovely. Standout for the new CB2 fall collection is this Scatola rectangular brown burl wood coffee table. And this has just a beautiful proportion of legs to top. It's very clean and simple, but with an interesting texture of the burl wood. Again, this is something a little bit hard to style because it is such a strong texture. But I do think it is really beautiful and warm and works really well with some styles that are popular right now. And this one was designed by Mermelada Studio. They are a product design and art direction studio based in Barcelona. So you can see just a sample of their pieces, and they have a really fun, almost modern and whimsical, playful design aesthetic. So pretty lovely. I would check them out. Then we have a piece of art that I think is really great. CB2 doesn't always have a lot of great art choices in my experience. However, I think this is a really nice interpretation of a modern floral. So you've got the purples of the flowers, you've got the greens of the leaves, and you've got blues of maybe a vase. Just really nice abstract, but also you can read something into it. So this is called Sticks and Stones by Jeffrey Fitzgerald. And I think it's a very lovely piece. Now this is just a little fun accessory that is new. This is the Black Snake Fireplace Andirons set. So basically this holds wood pieces next to a fireplace before you throw them on the fire. And it's this very simplified snake form, these squiggles. And I don't have a fireplace, but this really makes me want a fireplace just to have these two pieces. Next we have the Melani polished nickel or polished brass dome table lamp. And again, this is another piece by Mermelada Studio. And this is a riff off a very classic dome lamp, but here I think just the proportions are so precise and exact, and how they perfectly fit the arm in around the dome of the lamp. It's just perfect. And we know like the polished metals are really coming back in right now. I think this is a classic lamp you could have for a really long time. Another lighting piece that I think is just really fantastic this season is the Polaris white marble and brass globe pendant lamp. And here I think circular like globe pendants are really kind of overdone at this point, and we see them in every type of lamp. So I think you have to have something that sets it apart, and here we have this marble almost half hat on the the globe pendant, and it's also a very dainty scale. So you can see here just how it compares to other CB2 pieces. So I think this is a really cute pendant light that you could use. Next, we have this Enoki sandstone wall sconce, and I don't think this gives off a lot of light, so I would use this piece more as almost a piece of art, a small piece of art on a little wall. I think perfect. I love the sandstone texture, just the the long oval shape. I think it's really unique, and I think it's really nice. It's by Evan Jerry of Studio Anansi. So you can see here, this is a product design studio, and it has some really nice pieces. And you can see these different influences, these global influences. Really great. Now we have a simple cabinet. This is the Cupla wood entryway cabinet, and if you look inside, it has a hidden drawer and a shelf, and I think this is extremely versatile. I think the oak wood tones, the combination of the two tones, is really great, and oak is such a classic color. So I think this could work in a lot of spaces, and I love just the detail of the veneer starburst. It just gives it something a little bit special, but it still is a very quiet piece, very suitable for many uses. Now we have a bench, and this bench I think is really refined, and it's basic leather bench with two curved metal legs, and I love it. I think the leather looks really nice against the metal legs, and I think this would be a great entryway bench, and the details are really perfect, even how it subtly domes up where you have the leather where you sit on it. I think it's just perfect. And this is another one designed by an outside studio. This is by View. And they are furniture, lighting, and accessory design studio based in Australia. And they have a lot of interesting materials, interesting, almost organic curved shapes, but also very minimal pieces. So very lovely. So those were some of my choices for the top, best, and worst pieces from the new CB2 Fall 2024 collection. And as a disclaimer, these are my personal opinions, and if you like something, definitely go out and get it. So with that, I will see you next time.